actually on the Alpha Vedic YouTube as well.
Amazing.
So let me just make sure that we are on. Let me check Unite. Sayer is actually at the burn right now.
Yeah.
So let me see. Video is temporarily unavailable. Please wait. Okay. I haven't used StreamYard in a while, so hopefully the connection is going to work here.
No worries.
Let me check YouTube. There's so many different technologies now to go live.
Yeah, it's wild.
We're having trouble streaming to your destination. Policy our team server URL streaming is invalid. Oh, great.
Okay. I've got, it says live on my screen, and everyone can see and hear you right now.
Yeah. Okay. So we must be live on. Okay, on the YouTube, because I am pushing to the Alpha Vedic YouTube right now. So let me just check that. Give us a thumbs up in the chat if you see us. And then, yeah, we're live on Alpha Vedic, which is great. So
what's up, everybody?
What up? So I'm going to go ahead and just share this link out to the QORTAL community because we couldn't stream on the QORTAL YouTube. So they were having a 24-hour waiting period. So we were doing Alpha Vedic. So let me just let everybody know that we are live right now.
Epic. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Going to be talking about some amazing stuff today. So amped to be here with you, Mike.
Yeah, I am super excited to be coming out to Miami. I haven't been to Miami in like 20 years since Winter Music Conference days when I used to go out and DJ at the WMC at like Nikki Beach and these places. I don't even know if they're still there.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. The Delano and all these like classic institutions. So anyways, I'm really excited to be coming out there and sucking up all those Miami vibes, man.
The vibes are real down here right now, man. We're really a nexus of a lot of stuff that's transcending a lot of the old stereotypes of Miami. And, you know, I grew up in Florida, so I always talk a lot of smack about Miami, but getting here, meeting the spiritual community that's here, the forward-thinking community that's here, the musical community that's here, this and the fact that we have the health freedom power within Florida right now is making this, I mean, to me, one of the coolest, most powerful places in the world right now, and super psyched to be talking about our upcoming event. Mike's going to be coming down to AUREA September 9th to the 11th. Shameless plug here. The live stream is going to be going out. The in-person event is going to be happening. Amazing music, amazing conscious activations, epic guys like Mike talking about the future of technology in this grand and beautiful universe. Cannot wait, man.
Yeah, and I get to DJ as well, which I'm really excited about because that's something I'm super passionate about. So bringing the good vibes to the party is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Absolutely, man. And seeing the comments, we're going to be talking about a lot of epic stuff today. There's 5 key pillars of the event, and then of our lives in general. We're going to be bringing together leadership, purpose, health, spirituality, and freedom. And that's kind of what our lives are all about right now is how do we lead with more purpose? How do we have better health? How do we tap into our spiritual truths, have more faith, less fear? And how do we figure out what the fuck is really going on in the world and take some intelligent action to either make the problems irrelevant or build up solutions that well, maybe just make it all irrelevant would just be fine with me as it makes new solutions. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing that we're all about at QORTAL and Alpha Vedic, and everything that we talk about is building the parallel system, because when you fight against the system, what you're doing is you're just creating more resistance in your life, and that doesn't actually lead to any solutions. That actually is just creating more problems. So by going into our deep inner creative flow and resonating together in that creativity, we can create beauty in the world. And that is exactly what the old system is not. In a way, they're the ones that are fearful. Those that are trying to hold on to these legacy systems, they're the ones living in the fear and trying to maintain the power system, which is fracturing and falling right now. So yes, today we'll be talking about AUREA, the leadership summit out in Miami that our good friend Sayer G has been a big proponent of, and he's the one that connected us to Jackson and Jeff, who are putting it on.
Go Sayer.
Go Sayer. And then, of course, you can check this out at AUREAleaders.com. It's taking place September 9th through 11th in Miami Beach. And a lot of amazing people will be speaking at this. People we've had on our podcast before, like David Avocado Wolf, Charles Eisenstein, Josh Del Sol is rolling out with me, Jim Gale, and of course, Jason Crow, who's about to pop into the live stream in just a second here. He's just getting settled. Looks like he's about ready to come on. And we're going to be coming to represent QORTAL, which a lot of people in the Alpha Vedic community and the QORTAL community are very excited about because QORTAL is really gaining a lot of momentum right now. So this is all perfect timing to help really bring QORTAL out to a little bit more of the quote unquote, I wouldn't want to say mainstream, but to at an event like this where, like we were talking pre-chat, how you are talking with more traditional sort of crypto people and helping them kind of see the light. And I think that's important now. I think it's important to cross the bridge over, have these folks that were initially brought into crypto for certain aspects to start to be reminded again of why Satoshi Nakamoto wrote the white paper, or whoever that is, that entity or those people that created Bitcoin, and what the impetus was behind that, and getting back to those first principles. I'm going to bring Jason Crow into the stream now, and we can go deep into QORTAL, and also anything else, Jackson, that you wanted to tease about the event itself.
Yeah, thank you, man. Jason, what's up, brother?
Hey, guys. How's it going? How's my audio? Because I don't have my Bluetooth headset, so there's no echo or anything.
Your audio sounds good, brother.
Yep.
Right. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So you guys sound great, look great. And Mike, you're just asking me other things to tease about the event. Is first off, just want to say super gratitude to both of you guys, first of all, for having me here, for doing all the hard work you've done within yourselves, within the world, to create this amazing platform and communities and all the epic stuff you've been into for quite some time. And connecting with other trailblazers and courageous, creative souls like yourselves is probably my favorite thing in the world. So very excited to be here for all of that. Teasing the event some more. It is meant to be a unifying experience of tapping us into our higher selves, tapping us into higher consciousness, seeing how we can transmute the problems that we face in the world into gold, into the things that really make us powerful creators, and to step into our real heroes' journeys. You know, we all have the potential within us, this divine, mighty I am presence within us, not to get religious-y about it, is to create. And we all have this power to manifest and to step into the flow of life and to be absolutely in control of our destiny and to be sovereign and on every level. And we're here to do that in a really awesome, fun, enjoyable way with music and dance and celebration and just enjoying being alive, so that we don't get caught up in the this huge like scale of the problems and the conspiracy and the and all these pieces that we can't even like get our heads around. But it's to step into our truth to go out there and create some solutions.
And what you just mentioned there with the sovereignty, that's literally what QORTAL was built for. It's built to provide that individual sovereignty on the digital side and allow you to build your own destiny on the digital side, right? So you can do that all day long on the physical side, but then you're still dealing with the existing system's digital infrastructure. And if you're doing that, that's a problem, right? And so we have built the solution for that problem, right? And so that is like literally what QORTAL is main goal. Like that's what's QORTAL's main goal, right? So I'm excited to hear you say that, because it lines perfectly with what we're doing. Yeah.
And Jackson, you mentioned the mighty I am presence, and that resonates strongly. We literally just did an alpha cast last week on the solution. The I am is the solution, and we also just did a law workshop about essentially resonating from the I am, and how that is where we need to be coming from, because that is what sets essentially the resonance that is the eternal truth of all of us. And what's beautiful about QORTAL is when I was doing this workshop last weekend at the AV Gardens, which was all about moving into the private. And we can talk a little bit about that today, because I believe this quote unquote golden age is all about that. And that's not like we're all sequestering ourselves away from each other in the world. It's quite the opposite, actually, because when you find out what the actual quote unquote public corporate is that is the system that has been putting us into an sort of an indentured state under this corporate sort of umbrella of control. And when we understand that we are this, with the I am presence, or with this, what all we mean by the I am is just this idea that we are directly connected to the divine, we are eternal, we have the power to create anything we want in this world through the universal laws. And when we're doing this workshop with Marcia Ann, who's like a master at understanding this, I brought up QORTAL because we're talking about how when you're in the legal system, so if you have a corporation, if you have an LLC, if you have a birth certificate, all these things, this ties you into that indentured old school legacy system. And what's beautiful about QORTAL is that I asked her, so because when you do that, you're tied in with the obligations, because you get certain services, you get certain things that you get to use in the system, and in exchange for that, you're tied to it. So then you have obligations to the system, and that can lead to all sorts of nastiness. So I said, well, tell me about QORTAL, because the whole process of that weekend was separating ourselves from that, building the bridge to get away from that, so that we aren't tied into this old system. So I explained. She's like, okay, well, explain me what you guys did with QORTAL, and how you're currently tied to the system. And I said, I don't think we are. I think we're really unique. We never set up a corporation. We never did any trademark nonsense. We never did any patent nonsense. Never actually set up any kind of business relations with any investors. No board or anything. No fiat investment in terms of a traditional investment. None of that. And so she kind of was looking at it, and she's like, I think you're all good. You guys are just individual sovereigns that are doing essentially making your own contractual commerce with each other in the private. And that is what makes QORTAL very unique. Even Bitcoin, I would argue, with the Bitcoin core crew and what they're doing, they have an incorporated foundation. They are connected and tied to the legacy system. And what that does is they have obligations to it, where QORTAL is very unique in that there are no obligations to the legacy system. So we've literally built this infrastructure, as Jason was saying, for the new golden age, if you will. So I just want to make that very clear to those who will be watching this from the quote unquote cryptosphere, is to understand that QORTAL is very unique in that we are ardently dedicated to decentralization, and that we have no centralized connection to anything. Court isn't even on a centralized exchange. You can go to CoinMarketCap. We are now listed on there, like randomly someone put us on there, but there is no connection to any traditional centralized systems or services that 99% of other crypto, unfortunately, are connected to.
Yeah, I believe it's basically all of the other ones now. I mean, almost all of them, even if they have their own decentralized trade platform, they're still focused on getting listed on centralized exchanges and focused on getting listed on centralized services and focused on all of that. We are focused on rebuilding the centralized services into decentralized services that can run on top of QORTAL. Now, this doesn't mean that, a company or another private person, whatever, can't decide to build something on QORTAL and use it for their company, whatever. They can totally do that too. But as the core of the platform of QORTAL is concerned, we are not associated to anything in particular. We are our own thing, right? We built a separate infrastructure platform that is not tied to the existing one at all. And that's the whole idea behind it, was to be the next one, right? We're taking this old one here and we're saying, we don't like basically anything that is going on over here. We would like to have ours that's built in this fashion, and everything is done P2P. You never have to deal with a middleman or a third party. And it's just a vast improvement over the existing infrastructure, right? So that is really like what the core principles of the platform are about, is really just providing that ability and location for people to be able to build things in this fashion and to stop having to be involved with all of these centralized third parties. Like, no more need for domains, no more need for like a centralized server to do the hosting for you. No more need for any intermediary when you're doing any trades. No more of any of that stuff. And now if people just build things on top of this infrastructure and start using Court as payment while we're transitioning, because I think in the longer term future, we're going to have more of like a barter system where like currency won't really be as necessary, right? But for the transitional time, I think a currency is still going to be like what people understand and what people will use, right? And so having that Court currency on this new decentralized system and allowing people to utilize that for commerce and setting up their stores and whatever they want to be able to accept that, and to get rid of the idea that we need US dollars, and to provide as many solutions to the things that right now need US dollars as possible, right? So food distribution, energy production, all of the things that people are like, well, what about my, power bill, or what about my, things like that, right? So we need to provide as many of those solutions as possible too. And that's where we're going with this, is it's, we've got the digital infrastructure portion. We're adding a lot more functionality to that digital infrastructure than as much of the physical infrastructure that we can get built in with the same ideals behind it, right? As we can do all that, then we need no more reliance upon anything that requires USD in order to function, right?
Amazing, man. I mean, you guys are striking the root so hard. Like, there's so many different angles that come to mind to even like understand like how you solve these problems, and like to like focus people's minds on it is so freaking cool.
It was definitely not simple to do, but
yeah,
it's really simple to use. Like, so that's the thing too, is I really want to get across, right? And that I feel like kind of gets lost when we're like just talking about it and explaining like all these things. People are like, wow, that sounds really complex, right? But yes, the back end of it is very complex, but most people are not going to see the back end, right? They're not going to see how all of this actually functions, and unless they want to, right? It's fully open source. They can totally do that. But for most people, they're just going to be seeing the QORTAL UI, which is really simple to use. It's literally whatever you want to do, you click the thing that says what you want to do. It's really straightforward. And we've made sure, and I believe, like, honestly, I mean, I might be a little biased, right? But I believe that QORTAL is the easiest to use in the crypto space. Like, once you've got it set up and running, and getting it set up and running is really easy too, but that's like the hardest part, right? But once you get it set up and running, it is very straightforward, very simple, very easy to use. And I think that that's where we're going to come out shining, because we have made a very important focus on ease of use. And if this isn't easy to use, how are we going to expect everyone to be able to use it, right? And so that was one of my main things when designing a lot of the stuff for the UIs, to make sure, like, if I could put this in front of my mom or my grandma and say, do this, if they can't do that, or if they don't know what I'm talking about, then there's something wrong and we need to make it easier. And so I did a lot of that. We also did a test out at a music festival with the UI way before it was QORTAL, and gave the UI to people on a phone as they're walking around at the music festival and say, create an account, and see if they could do it, right? And so we've done a ton of testing on this, ton of ideas and concepts put together over a long period of time to make sure that this was not only completely P2P and, very awesome on the back end, but also extremely simple and easy to use on the front end, right? So when people are seeing this and using it, they're going to understand it. They're going to know how to do things, So that's really important for a platform like this, in my opinion.
Yeah. Love it, and so the key thing, that separates QORTAL from, because some folks that are just, tapping into this go, well, that's great. I know it's pretty easy for me to go on and use Metal Pay or something. They've got an app on my phone. I can just install it and start using. Well, guess what? Metal Pay was involved, I believe, with a lawsuit, or within a class lawsuit, due to a centralized system that would connect to your bank account to allow you to connect your fiat to Metal Pay, because they're using centralized systems. If you can download an app like that and just run it immediately and then access a wallet, you have centralization. Now, the problem with centralization, of course, is that it's not secure, right? So the difference with QORTAL is, well, one of the many problems. So the beautiful thing about QORTAL is that every single user the way it's set up right now is a full node on the network. And what that means is that you are taking your own sovereignty in your hands on the network, being your own custodian for your data and for everything in turn on the network. So there is no middleman centralization gateway or anything that is doing any work for you.
You're
You
communicating only to your own computer. Yeah.
Yes. And so that is extremely important to understand, because it is with decentralization, distribution, the more distributed a network is, the stronger it is. And so QORTAL was devised as the original Bitcoin was intended to be, where every single user was part of that distribution. And in order to do that, what QORTAL has is a very unique, built from the ground up, custom blockchain with its own consensus mechanism and its own rewards mechanism built into the currency that essentially is framed more around this idea of collaboration and cooperation versus competition and scarcity. So Bitcoin is originally was developed with this sort of more of an Austrian economics perspective, which is I'm a big fan of, but it's built on scarcity. It's built on the idea of competition where miners are competing for rewards. Where QORTAL is a little bit more Aquarian in mindset, where the idea that every single person who is involved in the network is running a full node and is also being rewarded for that. It's called minting, where everybody's sharing in the piece of the reward together for collaborating and cooperating together on the network. So every single person who is quote unquote minting, which is just what QORTAL calls the act of running consensus by running a full node, on the network, you are getting on every block a piece of the reward in your wallet. So you can sit there and watch your QORT number go up through a small inflationary process. And the inflation is low. The inflation, Jason, is around one.
Well, so to give a really good idea, right? We've only got 4 points. Let me get the exact number right now. And you can calculate from there. So we've got 4.516 million QORT in existence. Now, that's it, right? We have just 4.516 million QORT total, right, since Genesis. And now the way that the release schedule works is it started at 5 QORT per block, right? And right now it's at 4.25. It goes down by 0.25 every 6 months in blocks until it reaches 2. Once it reaches 2, the community actually takes over in deciding whether that goes up or down. So that's another really unique thing about QORTAL, right? Is that the users will actually have a direct say in whether more or less coins get created in the next year, right? Now, the minimum that will ever be created is 1 QORT per block, and the maximum that will ever be created is 5. Those are the two laws, right? So it'll never be more than where it started, and it'll never be less than 1. But the community can then decide, they look at last year and they see how the markets went, or they see how, everything went, and they say, okay, I think it should go up this next year. We need more rewards for the minters or whatever, right? And so they make that vote, and that gets to be increased or decreased based on that vote, which is really cool too, right? So there's no hard cap on the total number of QORT that will exist, and that's done for multiple different reasons. But there is a cap on the block reward. So it's a different way of looking at the cap, right? We just have a cap on how many can get created per block. We don't have a cap on how many can get created in the next 50 years or whatever, with Bitcoin when it caps out at 21 million. Now, I think that's, it's a great idea for something that's just solely going to be used as basically digital gold. For anything else, like for QORTAL, where we're going to have tons of services, use cases, vendors, merchants, all accepting QORT. Now, if it gets to a point where nobody wants to use the QORT because they know that there's a limited supply, and they've got that in their mind, and they're just going to hold it and hoard it and never use it, then what is the point, right? We need people to want to use it. So it makes sense for there to be, constantly more getting created, but it also makes sense for the community to have a say in how many more get created, right? And so that's what we've done with that. And also something I wanted to touch on with the minting that we were talking about, right? Not only does it remove the competition that comes along with Bitcoin and any other POW mining or even POS, because both of them are basically the same thing, just powered a little differently, right? What minting does is it removes the couple between power and money. We broke that, right? So now you can no longer get more influence or more reward by simply having more money than someone else. And that's exactly what proof of work and proof of stake do. Now, proof of stake is just straight up, right? The more money you have in your wallet, the more you earn. So the rich directly get richer, the end. Now, proof of work, you have to do a little bit more work in order to get to the place where you're a bigger proof of work miner, right? You have to find these miners, you have to go purchase them, you have to find a big warehouse somewhere to run them with a huge amount of power and all of that, and build all of that and get that all running, right? But it's still, the people who have millions of dollars can easily go, oh, just buy that warehouse over there, get the power company to run me a bunch of power, and there you go, I'm good to go, right? The people, normal, everyday people, they can't do that. So how can they be expected to be a part of this network? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So we have taken that out. That's no longer part of the equation. Now, the only thing that matters is how long you've been running a full node with your minting key assigned, so it's proving itself on behalf of your account for you, right? How long that full node has been supporting the network. As it continues to go on, you go up in blocks minted, which increases your level. It also increases your influence in the voting system. So your weight, based on that, your contribution directly decides your weight in the voting system. So the people who have been contributing their time longer actually have a higher weight in the decision-making process, right? So it really levels itself out. It levels the playing field entirely, because anyone can come in with essentially any computer, start minting without worrying about how much power they're going to use. They can do it on a palm-sized Raspberry Pi device, right? It takes five volts to run the thing, right? A maximum of 25 watts. It's like the same as charging a smartphone, right? And you can do that just to run a node on the network. Right, exactly, yep. Something that small can run a node on the network or any existing computer that people have, right? So we've gotten it to where the original ideas behind Bitcoin were exactly that, right? They wanted people to be able to mine on their existing home computers. And that didn't work out. It ended up where these developers are really smart and they created specific devices for doing that. But in doing so, they made it so that basically only people with a ton of money can even get involved in this game now. And
well,
I basically know no one who actually mines Bitcoin anymore.
Well, and the protocol drove that, because the protocol is based on proof of work, relies upon competition of doing computation,
right,
for the reward. So, and Jason, you bring up so many good points about it's really interesting to see where QORTAL's going to go. What I called it proof of time. That's just
contribution. I like proof of contribution over time. Some people like proof of reliability. Like, you can call it basically whatever you want.
Essentially, it's using time as a leveling system, and everybody has to face time. Like, there's no way to hack time that I know of, unless you're like talking about Project Looking Glass or something. But that being said,
that's a different podcast.
Yeah. So that
can we? Yeah, I hate to interrupt. Can we just kind of like bring it up a couple levels to like?
Yes.
Because I love the details, but I understand most of it. I'm not sure like where the audience is at as far as like being like super zeroed in on that level of detail, but like macro level problems that you guys are seeing, like macro level stuff, to like how you even like created and saw QORTAL, and how like can you kind of zoom out a couple layers, like the big picture problems that you guys are focused on?
Yeah, I'll start, Jason. So sure. I would say the biggest problem in our society right now is that people are indebted to a system that is centralized and controls them, right? So this is obvious. Look at your bank account. Look who runs. I mean, we all know those, to get a little conspiratorial, that there are these quote unquote banksters that have centralized the monetary system, that essentially have created an entire worldwide system of debt that has led to wars and impoverishment, and it has minimized our ability to have free energy and all sorts of freeing technology. because it was based upon those few trying to stay in power using debt. So for me, that is the greatest inequity that has led to a lot of the pain and sorrow, and also the quote unquote scientism and the materialism and everything that has come through the corporatized schooling system that has kept people sort of in this state, frenzied state of, how do I get by? How do I pay the next bill? I don't have time to tap into my deep spiritual self and all this, because they're literally on the wheel, right? On the rat race.
Yeah.
So, that was one of the big reasons why the Satoshi Nakamoto and the Bitcoin white paper was written, and why the cypherpunk movement exploded in the late 90s and stuff. There was people trying to figure out, how can we remove ourselves from this centralized, indebted, corrupted system? So, fast forward to the mid 2000s, and we've talked about this on multiple podcasts. We saw that there were a lot of issues with Bitcoin. And so with the centralization, with proof of work, so there was a need for a better system. And so QORTAL was developed for this, to allow for people to have an infrastructure so that we can build out a new sort of digital landscape, so that we can all have a more equitable ability to connect and to do commerce and communicate outside the realm of this centralized, indebted system. Jason, what other problems? So many.
I mean, essentially, it's basically centralization that has caused all of the issues in the world, right? And so the ownership of technologies, like patents, like what he was talking about, those kinds of things, that's why it's also open source, right? So open source and decentralized and distributed are the three main things that the platform needs to be, right? Then everything on top of that just comes down to, what do users need, and what do people who are going to be setting up their stores and doing things like that need to be able to do. And now another thing, existing blockchain platforms before QORTAL, basically all of them except for a handful, and most of them are done in a semi-centralized fashion, are only economic systems, right? They're only focused on money, right? That's all Bitcoin does. Bitcoin does money. That's it, right? And now people have tried to take the Bitcoin chain and make it do other things. But since it wasn't built to do those other things, they have to build layer 2 technologies and things like the Lightning Network and so forth, and add in like things into Bitcoin to make it try to be able to do the things that it wasn't built to do. Now, QORTAL, on the other hand, was not only focused on money, which it actually wasn't focused on money at all. Our main focus was to build an actual infrastructure. Now, the reason we chose blockchain technology is because blockchain technology is essentially the most secure distributed database that you can get, right? That's the most secure distributed database in the world, is a blockchain, right? And so we were thinking, okay, well, we've got a really secure distributed database over here that can do money, right? That's great and all, but we need that security to be applied to a lot more functionality. And now that's where QORTAL comes in. And our blockchain functions a lot differently. I'm not going to go into any of those details, but essentially it was built from the ground up to be able to accommodate a lot more functionality than things like Bitcoin, Litecoin, all of the other coins that are focused on being just a coin, right? And so we took that technology that is extremely secure, distributed, transparent, allows everybody to see what's going on and so forth. And we used that to build everything else, right? Now you can take it and you can host websites with it. You can host applications with it in the very near future. You can communicate with it. You can do all of the things that people use a computer for on a regular basis. Now, when we get a little bit further along, which I found out the other day that I didn't even really realize this, I guess, is that all of the functionality for Q apps already exists in the core. So it's really just UI work that we need to do to make this happen, which makes it much more quickly getting done. So I'm very happy about that. But in the very near future, when we initiate what's called Q apps, it's basically just an addition to our web hosting that we already have that will allow you to build applications on top of that too, utilizing that same security and so forth. So when we get to that, video hosting platforms to replace YouTube, social media platforms to replace Facebook, like blogging platforms to replace Reddit and Twitter and so forth. So all those kinds of things that people use on a regular basis all the time, right, can be rebuilt with no centralization. That means that no Facebook owns it, no Microsoft owns it, no Google owns it. They can't censor you. They can't control anything that you're doing. Now, people always go, okay, if they can't censor, what about if this and this and this negative thing come about, right? Now, you as a user can censor whatever you want. You can decide that you don't want to see this information, and you can say, never see that information again. It'll never come to your node again. It'll never be processed by you again, right? So you as the user, as an individually sovereign person, can decide whether you want to see any content or not. Anyone else can put up whatever they want. Now, as a person putting up data, your node becomes the first node that has that data. So you are solely responsible for putting that data out there on the network. As more people use it, it gets distributed amongst more people, and the data becomes, unable to be taken down, unable to be hacked, so forth. But you, as the first person that put it there, take the responsibility by saying, I am putting this content out there. It is me that's doing it. Right now, it could be an anonymous account, whatever, but it's still the first account that puts it out there is the one who takes responsibility for it. So we are not a hosting company. We don't have anything like over top of it, right? So it's all just individually sovereign people who are putting this content out there, and then it gets distributed amongst the rest of the network. Go ahead, Mike. I know you have something to say.
Well, so much to say.
Yeah.
And on that, so it is just an infrastructure. It is based on the individual. It's not based on any sort of corporate overseers. There is no one to censor anything. There is a community voting system, but within that voting system, you can't vote to censor content.
No.
That's not built into it. It's based upon the individual to self-censor the content you don't want to see. If there is some jihad, kind of crazy terrorist stuff happening on there, that'll be in its own bubble, and that will be coming from a node that if the FBI or whatever want to zero in on, that's the protocol. It's transparent. It's a blockchain. That's the beauty of transparency. There is a beautiful thing about transparency, and we will touch on privacy in a second too, and how also with the recent, supported pirate chain that launched this weekend, which is very exciting, that allows you to obfuscate your money so that it can't be tracked for the private individual, which is very important. We are balancing out the transparency, truth aspect, which is where the world's going in the golden age, right? Where there won't be a need to lie or hide or cheat. But we're also still in a world where there are predators. There are people looking to get your stuff. So having privacy is really important. So we understand that as well. On the other problem side thing, though, in terms of money, Jason brought up a very important thing. Most of the quote unquote crypto sphere is based around what? It's based around the markets. It's based around about buying low, selling high. When you buy low and you sell high, who's buying when you're high? Some sucker who's going to have to basically take the blunt of debt from. That's how markets work. People succeed and people lose out. And that's the way the world, the mentality is right now, right? That's the mentality of the world. It's like, oh, well, you got screwed. I'm getting my comeuppance. That is not how QORTAL works. That's not the design. We have a trade portal to allow for asset trading so that people can use that for utility. Our focus on the court and the currency being just the exchange of energy, is to build out marketplace so that people can actually use a currency for how it was originally intended, which was just a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and if we do our job right, as a means of savings, right? As digital gold, where you are just exchanging your energy for products and different services on the network. So that is a big, big difference between almost every other crypto, which is just basically put onto a centralized exchange so people can buy low, sell high, and screw someone else over.
And even if those other coins are accepted on, centralized service providers, like people who are accepting crypto payments, all those people are doing is accepting the payment in crypto, immediately converting it to USD and putting it in their bank account. It's not even they're not even using the coin itself. They're not even accepting the coin itself. So in QORTAL, we don't have any ties to USD. So when you are trading QORT for a service, the person getting it is getting QORT. Now, what they do with it from that point is on them, right? And they could totally automate converting it through all the way back to a fiat. But the whole idea here is that we're separating ourselves from the other system. Now, we want people to use QORT for everything. We want them to use it for their daily needs. We want them to use it for buying whatever things they want. We want them to use it to sell their paintings and get QORT instead of USD. Now, for some reason, this is such a hard concept for people to get. Like, if we have all of the things that you need on a regular basis, then what is the point in going back into a fiat currency? Like, we really need people to think about that, right? Like, why would you go back into a fiat currency? I understand. So we have solutions coming for food distribution and food production. We have energy distribution and energy production also coming that are planning on using their services on top of the QORTAL chain. Now, I haven't mentioned a lot about this yet, but I have this that's been going on for multiple months. These guys are planning to do this. They're planning to decentralize their technology and utilize QORTAL to allow these things to happen. So we will have almost all of the pieces of the puzzle. Now, the only thing left aside from those things, so we'll have energy, food, all the digital infrastructure, communications, all the stuff you need, right? The only thing left that we need to figure out is the current like housing structure. And we have another solution for that too, through Abundance Building Concepts, who are planning on using QORT for their services too. But once we have all of that, we're golden. We're completely separate from the system. We don't need anything else, right? So holding QORT and using that as your currency is all you need, right?
Yeah, and someone just put in the comment, QORTAL is fiat. QORTAL is not fiat. Fiat, that you need to understand the definition of what fiat is. So QORTAL is actually generated through a code base that is hard coded in. It is hard money. So fiat is printable. It is created by essentially out of the air by officialdom. This is what people need to wrap their head around, how Bitcoin works too. So this is the new Aquarian concept of hard money. It is in the code base. It is law, just like in universal law of how much gold there is in the world that has mined. It's the same thing, except this is more transparent and obvious because someone could go find a huge cache of gold and start mining it. And because they have the money to do that, they can actually control that substance that is used as that, as gold. Where with digital currency, if it's done correctly with the correct consensus that is completely transparent, where nobody has the keys to print more money, then it is not fiat. So, Jason, do you want to speak to that at all? Because I think a lot of people still have problems with understanding that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, so fiat, right, is controlled by a central entity. Like, that's really the biggest difference. And since they decoupled, so, I mean, in the past, they said it used to be backed by gold and silver. The coins actually used to have silver in them, right, which was direct value. This was fine. But now, what they're doing now, governments are literally just printing more money when they feel like it, right? So how does that make anybody holding this fiat money feel comfortable at all? Like, for me, I'm like, man, I need to get out of the USD as quickly as possible. Like, this stuff is going to go bad fast. Now with QORTAL,
well, can I say something too? 1971, when Nixon took the US dollar completely off gold, guess what was created that same year? The World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum was created that same year, which has been planned since that to get us to where the greater reset and where you'll own nothing and be happy. So the decoupling was massive, and there's no way they're going to allow that to go back, guys. There's no way. So anyways, keep going.
And so, yeah, with QORTAL, every person involved in the network is actually participating in generating the coins. Now, the coins have a schedule that they follow that's coded in, like Mike says. That schedule cannot be changed until it gets to the point where we vote on it and change it. But there's still laws on the minimum and maximum that will ever get created, right? So those things will never change. 1 is the lowest that will ever be created. 5 is the highest that will ever be created per block. Now, a block is between 60 and 90 seconds, and we're going to try to get it closer to 60 because that was the original goal, was to have 60-second blocks. It's been about 75 seconds on average lately. So that many new QORT is the maximum that will ever be created every 75 seconds. And it gets distributed to every single person that is involved in minting, right? So that's another big difference. Fiat, when they're printing that money, where does it go? Who gets it, right? They do, right? Like, do they print the money and say, here you go, everyone. You can all have some fiat now. No. And even if they do, the stimulus or whatever, right? Like, oh, you guys can all have $1,000 or whatever, and they're keeping what, multiple billions, right? So it's just not balanced. It's not fair. It's not transparent. We have no idea what's actually going on with the fiat money. Like, yeah, sure, we can kind of track it with the banks give us certain information, but they could be hiding a lot more. They're not open with everything that they're doing. That's a complete opposite of QORTAL. So comparing QORTAL to a fiat, from comparing court to fiat is like, no, you're completely incorrect there. Every single minter who is part of the system is actually generating the court coins and getting rewarded based on their contribution over time with those court coins. So it's transparent. Everyone can see who is getting rewarded. Everyone can see which minter is online at a given time. Everyone can see which percentage of the newly created coin they are getting, and so forth. So there's a big difference in transparency. There's a big difference in who is doing it. It's not controlled by one central entity. It's controlled by literally everyone who's involved in minting, right? So it's a big difference. There's nothing that's the same at all.
Don't be a dog's body. I don't know if you're talking about court or fiat. Yes, fiat is immoral. Court, it's usury. Usury is putting somebody in debt, right? Through exactly what the fiat system does, right? And if you actually have a higher understanding of how the worldwide banking system works, it's literally tied to your birth certificate. You are, every time a new human soul comes into existence on this plane, their whole entire life's value is put up against the printed money through the Vatican. This is some deep knowledge that most people don't understand. That is the dark usury of the system. Court is an answer to get out of that. So you might want to, if you're talking about court being usury, you might want to go look up the definition of that. There is no indebtedness here. You are literally not indebting yourself to the system. You are basically coming in as a just another.
You're providing value by helping the network run, and you're creating the coins. So there's no debt involved at all. Like, there's no, like, cause in order for the coin to get created, there's no debt, right? You're literally just helping the network run, and you are creating the coins that didn't exist before, and within that process, right? So it's not debt based at all. No.
Yeah, they were talking about fiat. So,
okay,
but one other important distinction, Jackson, too, is that most cryptos out there have, especially all the proof of stake coins, of course, the ICOs and stuff, they're all running into problems. And we talked about like Tornado Cash and all this stuff, is that a lot of those have pre-mined their coins. So they literally are fiat 2.0. They pre-created the coin, because the problem with proof of stake, which is like the big darling of the crypto industry now, that's, we know that Ethereum is about to switch over to that with the beacon, transfer and all that. And what they're literally, and the only way you can have a proof of stake coin is you have to have the coin pre-made, unless you are doing a transfer like Ethereum did, going from proof of work to proof of stake, which is going to have
they had them pre-made anyway. They did an ICO anyway, so it's
they did. I know exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
So that is the issue we're facing with people that are going to be listening to this from the mainstream crypto world, is that it is what we call Wall Street 2.0, banking 2.0. It's just more of the same. So we need to wrap our heads around the idea of what true digital sovereignty is. And we've devised QORTAL to really be that sort of system. So we are running up on time, Jackson. We got about 10 minutes left. I would like to throw it over to you. Any broader questions or insights that you're looking for your event as we come out there to talk? Because there's a lot, as you can see, this is a massive subject. There's so much that QORTAL is answering and doing. This is literally, we could talk for 10 hours.
Yeah, it's all incredibly exciting, and I hope everybody that's watching and listening to this is seeing how the real awakening, the greater awakening that's happening around the world, that's waking up to these control systems and these parasitic politicians and financial systems are all coming together, and how QORTAL can be really this breakaway society engine, which I just find so exciting and amazing. So yeah, so Carrie, birth certificates and all that, and the whole private admiralty law and all that whole world is fascinating. And anybody watching this, really hope you tune in to the event, to the live stream. We'll be talking about these topics and a lot more, and how we can take action that makes our lives better and helps us break free from all this bullshit. And it's going to be freaking amazing. And I can't wait for it all. One interesting aside here, and then we'll kind of keep the conversation evolving here. So my last name is Strong. And if you look up the history of the Federal Reserve, and the Creature from Jekyll Island details this, and I'm sure you guys already know this, there were 6 men that were on Jekyll Island that founded the Federal Reserve. One of those 6 men was Benjamin Strong. There you go, right there. So in that book,
I always have this right by me.
It's one of the great ones. And I don't say this out of my ego, and it's through a lot of interesting turns of events. I'm separated from that side of the family, but that's my family, 100%. It was, so my karma here is to help people get out of this system. And, I think on the scale that those guys do, and I draw inspiration from the way that they think in certain ways. But yeah, I'm 100% of that family. So it's pretty crazy, and just pretty cool. So it's kind of my ego, kind of what interesting aside there. Yeah. So excited to be building this new world with you guys.
That's
Awesome.
really interesting. And that just goes to show that the way the polarity works, the universal law of rhythm, right? Is things go this way and things come back this way. So you had a predecessor, a family, member that was taking the world this way, and now it's swinging back the other way, and you're going to be a part of that. So that's just how the natural universal laws work.
Yeah.
And so that's really exciting, man. And I can't wait to hang out in Miami and talk more about all this stuff. I will say this about QORTAL, and the beauty of QORTAL and the beauty of understanding how true decentralization works is that Jason and I are just 2 guys talking about QORTAL. Like, anybody can come in, and if you have amazing ideas and concepts, you can bring them to the table. That's why the voting system's being created. Yeah. So like, if you have a brilliant idea of like a new energy system, like say some sort of hydrogen generating system or something, bring it to the table. You can influence the network by coming in and bringing your ideas and having people get behind it and start using court to generate energy towards creating making those ideas.
Soon
into
we'll
a
have
reality.
crowdfund with a Q as well, which was a smart contract that we already had on the previous chain. We're going to rebuild that for court. So you'll be able to actually put up a whole crowdfunding page and set a goal and whatever, and people can donate court to you to kick off your project too. So like that kind of thing will also be happening in the near future.
The power of open source needs to be really understood, because we still live in a world, and I fall for it too, where people put out ideas and they want ownership and they want recognition and they want to own that. And it's this whole intellectual property concept. And that's led us down a lot of dark corners and of control and ownership and like, it's mine and all that. And with an open source world, we can let go of that. We can trust in our brothers and sisters to join us in our ideas and evolve them and make them more beautiful.
It leads to companies that are run and based on like quality, right? And who does things better, because the company doesn't own the technology. So they have to really work their asses off to prove to the users that they are doing it the best, right? So if everybody has the same access to technology, then they all are based on quality now, right? And it makes a much better overall world, right?
Exactly. And to Kara's point there, I just showed up, is like, it's up to us in your individual in hero's journey. And I love films because it does represent this sort of hero's journey, but no one's going to do this for you. And I think that's what this leadership, summit's about, Jackson, right? Is inspiring everybody out in the world to start taking action today through it's literally up. It's here and in here, in your soul and in your I am. It's like believing in yourself, believing that you are the master of your own domain and the master of your storyline, and then taking the steps forward to make that actually happen in your life. It's not actually that mystifying. It's just the way the world works. So the system as now has indebted us to believing that we have to look to officialdom. We have to look to these institutions to do it for us, but that's not actually how the world works. And we're proving that with QORTAL, because QORTAL was not it's some sort of big investment Silicon Valley developed thing. It's literally a bunch of cypherpunk guys and women and men and women that have just decided to do this together. And it's really beautiful because it's just organically come out of the ethers of people who want to see a better world. So hopefully this can inspire those to take up action in your life, to actually start changing your life for the better by getting involved with whatever you're passionate about. And QORTAL will provide that infrastructure so that if you are amazing at building cabinets, or you're getting into a permaculture farm or whatever, we will provide a marketplace. And when I say we, the community and you yourself, so that you can start having a network to offer this to, and start reaping the rewards of your whatever your endeavors are. And that's actually kind of hard in the legacy system, because the legacy system is built out to get you indebted. The traditional system, you got to go out and get a loan to start your company, and now you're in debt to the bank, and then now you're having to work with big corporations to get your distribution out, and blah 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 blah. That is all going bye-bye through decentralization, open source, and stuff like QORTAL.
Yeah, it's amazing seeing all these legacy systems expose themselves for their frailties, and seeing our spiritual truth rise up. And really grateful for everybody that's here. Grateful for you guys to have this conversation, and those spiritual truths that you're echoing there, that come alive in us as we take action, and the amazing miracles, the people that appear around us that become our network. That's so cool seeing the parallels of what you guys have created, and what I'm sure we've all been through in our lives, of as we step into these heroic journeys that we go on, the right person at the right time steps up to be that extra key.
Perfectly. It's crazy.
Right? It's crazy. And like
Crazy.
Creating AUREA has been the most amazing, insane, I can't use the word insane, the most amazing example of that. And I just want to share that for everyone that's here, to know that when you step into your purpose, when you step into doing something really great in the world, life steps back towards you. God, source, spirit, however you relate to life, there's a mystical, amazing, benevolent assistant that's here with us. And just today, I was on the phone from a connection to a connection to a connection to one of the biggest affiliate email SMS promoters in the country, who could, like, at the snap of a finger, send 20 million emails and SMSs to support the event. He's super aligned. His dad knows people that are at the event. Like, it's just this crazy series of synchronicities and little mini miracles. So just want to give everybody courage to step into what you want to do. And if you're available on the 9th to the 11th, go to aurealeaders.com. We're giving away Saturday all day for free, because we want to get this information out there. Just enter your email address on the homepage. You can stream it all for free. If you want 3 days of access for a year, it's $97. And if you want to join us in person, it'll be absolutely worth it. It'll be one of the great weekends of your life, I'm positive. The music, the celebrations, the informative conversations with other badasses like Mike and Jason. It's going to be incredible, guys. I can't wait to see you there.
Looking forward to it.
The venue looks amazing too, Jackson.
Yeah, really
Josh Del Sol was sharing me some videos of it yesterday. We're just super pumped to be there. You actually, guys, you can access sign up directly at QORTAL.org/AUREA or alphabetic.com/AUREA. I set that up. So very easy to go access it through our affiliate links there. And
follow those links. Don't go to aurealeaders.com. Want to give you guys gratitude for that, man. You guys deserve it. Really, really appreciate this.
And I will just say that, to your point about miracles happening, that is so true with everything we've seen with QORTAL, because QORTAL is, it's all volunteer based. Like the developers, I've just been attracted to us and are, we have a completely different core lead developer than we started with, because he was just attracted through the different network of people who found out about it. So, it is how the universe works. And guys, if you are attracted to getting involved with QORTAL, you can go to QORTAL.org, go join us on Discord or Telegram. We do have QChat, of course, in the network itself, which is growing daily, which has an amazing community. That's our decentralized communications system right on QORTAL. And you can get involved in the community and start figuring out where you fit in terms of if you're good at graphic design, or you are a coder, or you're just great at talking to people, or you make shirts for a living, merchandise. We could really use that. Whatever. Like it's a community built system, and it's really, with every new node, every new soul that comes in, it just gets stronger and stronger. So please go to QORTAL.org, and that's QORTAL.org.
Portal with a backwards P is what I like to say, because people like it's just Portal with a backwards P. Yeah.
Well, appreciate you guys again, man. Love what you've created here. It's just fascinating to see these spiritual principles reawaken themselves. These technological principles emerge in parallel, and so many people think we're on the age of just total disaster, but the truth is we're in the golden age, guys. We're stepping into it in major ways we've never seen before. True sovereignty, true freedom, true responsibility, and God, man, such a joy and honor to be part of with you all, and hope everybody watching joins us on the live stream or in person. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you. Thanks, Jackson. Hey, thanks, Jason. Super pumped on all of this. We'll see you guys September 9th through 11th. Come out to Miami Beach. Come catch my set and catch Sayer G on the drums.
Yeah.
Going crazy on the drums. So it's going to be fun. Okay, guys. Love you, and we'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.
Bye.